Where's your failure?
No rider is a real goer.
Everything that I'm about to explain is entirely hilarious because it all started with an accident. I had a build for, one of the riders locally. I want Tiffany rails, GT build, Tiffany lifesavers, and I was like, sweet, the Float Life they don't have any Tiffany GTWs in stock right now, so we were like, okay, I will print rail guards, because Craft and Ride doesn't exist anymore, and get a Tiffany-based board build in terms of color. I couldn't find anything from like my normal TPU provider, so I looked around and found a Silk Cyan TPU, right? Here is what's left of the spool at the very least, because I've used all of it and tested all of it, because I printed this stuff and I realized, hey, this is advertised as TPU 95A or 98A or something like that, but it is ridiculously rigid. Like, this is a lifesaver, and that's as much as I can comfortably flex it. For reference, this is a normal lifesaver from the Float Life, and I can do that, right, without much effort. I could probably do it to this, but I'm not going to try, because weird, right? So, after having printed high durometer TPU or TPU for AMS from Bamboo Labs in my composite plastic casings for like the last couple of months, I've had a couple of failures with that. Only about 2 or 3 that I've seen where there's just been shatters from high impacts, and that's still not good enough for me. It's better than PPACF, it's better than nylon carbon fiber, but I want something still indestructible. So after discovering this extremely rigid Silk TPU entirely by accident, I decided, all right, I'm gonna test it. I started with a nylon carbon fiber box. This is, I believe, PAHTCF, not quite as brittle as PPACF, but as you can see, this split around the layer lines and, well, is no more. I then tested a composite casing controller box. So when these aren't connected to their lids, they're quite weak because it's just this outer structure. And when this takes an impact, that's gonna, it's not gonna hold up as well as something that's braced along the sides and top and bottom, right? So this snapped on the first throw, I believe, broke at this weak section. So not amazing either, but a nylon carbon fiber one would have done just as bad anyway. I then moved on to trying a full composite casing, which has a full bottom section. I believe this is an XR Classic Mini prototype. This broke all around the back, I believe, in 2 throws. So not amazing, obviously. But then moved on to the Silk TPU. This is what this looks like after, I believe it was 5 or 6 throws that I filmed just then, but there was probably about another 10 to 15 before that, because this was my first Silk TPU prototype, where I hurled this against the wall, it bounced off and did not care, which is amazing. There was like some slight damage to these corners, that was it. And this is what it looks like, broke in these tiny, thin sections, which would be braced by a lid with a full normal casing, but that's a very admirable result. And then we moved on to the absolute GOAT, a sim casing that I printed here out of black Silk TPU and of course PPACF composite infill in areas to increase rigidity. This is after about a good 10 throws, and this casing is fantastic. It's gotten completely bashed around the edges and the corners. They're all scuffed up. The PPACF that layered the very top to increase its strength, that has shattered in the corners and broke around the push button parts, but the entirety of the outside, which would be facing away from the lid and facing the world, none of it broke. None of it at all. So if this went through this much damage and had a lid attached and was inside a Onewheel, this would not have broken its waterproofing, it wouldn't have broken any layers, it would have been completely fine, and this thing was absolutely trashed. I threw it as hard as I could against the wall, It's split in the corners, it's split everywhere. I'll do a B-roll with all of the damage, but this stood up fantastically, which is awesome. Now, unfortunately, for the sake of comparison, I trashed this Onewheel Plus casing. So this is in no way a fair comparison to Future Motion casings or any other make of casing, but I wanted to have some sort of benchmark so you could see how much damage this would do to a normal box. But unfortunately, this is the only spare casing I have lying around at the moment. It is a Onewheel Plus casing that has been used for who knows how long. It didn't have that much wear along the edges, but it's unfair to say that this is fresh or modern. So I would not take this as a one-to-one, like these composite casings are better than Future Motion ones or someone else's or whatever. This is just a good comparison, right? And it shattered after its second throw along its main edge there. And yeah, poor thing, did its best, but I can now say that my casings are at least doing better than that. So that's great. So of course I will be implementing this plastic tech into all of my shipments from here on out, replacing the high durometer TPU. I'll instead be using black Silk TPU, which seems to have none of the shattering issues that high durometer TPU did. So that's amazing. And if you haven't had an order shipped out yet, this will be just printed with that. I'm still backlogging that to an extent. And if you have had a casing set ship out, or you've received one that is a composite with the old high durometer stuff, and you want me to send you a new one, just email me and we'll sort something out. And yeah, that's it. That's all there is to it. Quite simple, quite awesome, and hilarious that this was all found by total accident. Never thought to test Silk TPU, and I've never heard anyone talk about the fact that it's higher in rigidity. I've also tested temperature. And it does curl a little bit when you blast it with like 150 degrees or something, but it doesn't bubble, it doesn't fall apart, so that's good as well. Yeah, that's all there is to know, so cool.